the 13th of March 2023. I'm very sorry that I have very poor lighting here, but we can be able to hear one another. All right. I send 21 gun salutes to all the genuine Amazonian fighters and to the team that has decided to go to Boya. 21 gun salutes to all of you who have decided to go to Boya. Today, I want to talk and actually warn Amazonians of the impending doom that is ahead of us, and it cannot happen when we take precaution. But before I come to that, I would like you to join me as we welcome our illustrious servant of God who is assuring us that this fight which we have engaged ourselves is a reality and that we are actually on God's plan and we are doing exactly what God wants us to do. So I would like us to, let me look for brighter light. Yeah, I think it's brighter here. All right, it's brighter here. So I would think we should, good. All right, all right, all right, all right. So I want us to understand that the people of Amazonia are God-fearing people, God-loving people. But let's call our brother to come in and share with us. All right, come in, brother.
Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. You know my name, oh Daddy. You know me, you know my name. I can see your hand in my life. Lord, I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the below. Abba Father, you know my name. Papa, you know me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Reverend Brother Sama. That's the way I'm used to calling you. And it's good to always see you as we come together on our programs on ABC. I would like all of you, especially today as it is Country Sunday, that all of you who are there should inform your friends that Amba TV, Amba History is already on. And we will be talking on some very we'll be talking on a very important subject, and my guest is just informing me that wow, I thought we were going to have this wonderful guest in the house, but it's no problem. We can go ahead. We can go ahead with our program. As I was telling you, it's a very powerful program that I want Ambazonia to be extremely careful and watchful because there is danger looming in the air. The first thing I want to make Ambazonians to understand is that everybody in Ambazonia is prone and also vulnerable to mistakes. And when you make a mistake, to prove that you are a genuine Ambazonia and you are sincere with what you are doing and what you are saying, you will not be ashamed nor proud enough not to come out and tell the people of Ambazonia to forgive you that you made a mistake. Yeah, if you can't do that, definitely there is something wrong with you. I'm saying this not to justify anything that I'm doing, but to say that many of the problems we have had in our way to Boya is because people are not genuine and they want to remain in what they have said, even if it is not true. And when they make a mistake, they don't even come up to recognize the mistake and make apologies. A few days ago, I was so overwhelmed as a historian and as somebody who is digging out what has happened, is happening, and what has happening. I came across this very big time argument of right now one of the contractors of La République du Cameroon in the person of Agbobala, when he was arguing very strongly and giving points why we must be a separate country. Or at that time, he wasn't talking about separation, but he was about one kind of unity or the other. And when La Republic was resisting, he actually came out and said that a time is going to come when federation will not be on the table. And I found that article very interesting. The unfortunate thing that happened to me, as I'm making as a confession, when I dropped it in the social media, I did not make my comments. And that's where I failed. And I'm apologizing to all Ambazonians that I was in no way trying to make the language that Agbobala used in 2016 to be relevant today. But as a historian, I collect the past, I collect the present. It's only that I don't know. So when I collect the past, I collect the present, and I put it in line for us to wear and see who is consistent and who is talking what. And we can see a lot of discrepancies and a lot of changes in many of the things that are going on now with some of the people that came out with their sincere hearts, their willing minds, and they were getting ready to go to Boya like it was with Agbombalam. Now, there is something I've been singing and warning the Ambazonian people that because of one thing or the other, and I know that in the mouth of two or three witnesses, sometimes it is not even accepted to be established. I overheard our COS for communications, Comrade Ruth, reiterating what I have been saying, that La Republic Maroon has a kind of juju, a kind of demon, that when they sacrifice their money and give it to you and you take it, automatically you are transformed. Please, Ambazonians, your servant here has not taken anything from La Republic, and I will never take. But I have been sounding the warning, taking into consideration the speeches of some people, which I have been analyzing, telling us that actually it is not where you were yesterday that is important, it's where you are today that is important, and much more where you will be tomorrow that it is most important. So we cannot grade you for yesterday nor for today, but we wait to grade you tomorrow, because it is the person that ends the match, not the one that starts the match, but the one that ends and ends well and receives well. Now, Comrade Root has been singing, as I have been singing, that it doesn't matter how good you are, once you stretch forth your hand and you accept a position from the Republic of Cameroon, or you accept a token from the Republic of Cameroon, or you accept any money from the Republic of Cameroon, your destiny is sealed. What do I mean? Your head is turned inside out, and you are thinking and acting otherwise. That is what happens to anybody, especially the Ambazonians, who are very strong and vibrant, wanting to eat La République du Cameroon if it were possible. But as soon as La République does their magic or their nyongo, their juju, or their witchcraft, and happens to catch any of the sincere, truthful Ambazonians, he will change. So I am not going to blame a number of Ambazonians who have suspected me. I heard somebody saying, let's watch this man. Has he not taken anything from La Republic because his language? No, sirs. I want to let you know your suspicion is correct, but your suspicion is wrong. I mean that you suspect is correct, but to conclude is wrong. I am here to tell you that La Republic's tricks are well known to me, both in the physical and in the spiritual. Remember, I told you I am not just a religious person. No, I'm not religious. I am a child of God, and I'm proud to say that very with no apologies, that I am a child of God with conscience, and the conscience I have are the conscience of God, because God will not tolerate injustice. And that's where I'm standing. God will not allow a nation that is a foreign nation to usurp authority over another nation and to make its natives and its people slaves just because they are brick in number. But I want to tell Ambazonians that we have seen that God does not go with the big, but goes with two or three. That is his congregation. Yeah, it is very possible and it's very true that God can go with any number of people. But at this juncture, I want to let you know that God does not go with the majority, but he can go with the majority when the majority is right. But when the majority is not right, no, God goes with two or three people. That is what I'm telling you, Ambazonians. And that is why our very good friend says that, I know that he knows my name. Because when you know that God knows your name, and as he knows your name, he will definitely take you to a position where you belong, especially when you accept his terms. But let's go ahead. Does God know your name? Our minister here says, Abba Father.
Jesus, your love, now my master, your kindness, now wonder, every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. Jesus, you said I be a picking, no. Jesus, you said your love go cover me. Every time I look around,
Yeah, my question to you is, do you know this father? And of course, does he know your name? That is my question to you. Does he know your name? Because we have said from the very onset that this Ambazonian quest is for the people of Ambazonia, and they are under God. And I told you, as I've been telling you, and I will continue to tell you, when you leave something under God, definitely, and when God takes over, the next thing you have to do is to leave it for Him who has taken over. Because if you try to step in again, you will spoil the whole show. That's why we need to let Ambazonians know that if we have believed in our God, then we should and strongly believe in Him. Now, I was also saying that I have sat down to actually study and understand our African setting. And I said it that Africa is very, very rich, very blessed, but they are living the poorest in the world. And some people who are not believers, who don't believe in God, they use such a medium and such a situation to mock God. And who is helping them to mock God? Sometimes is some of you, let me say some of us, who call ourselves Christians. How do you say you are a Christian and you say you believe in God, and then you carry out activities that are opposed to the God you say that you know? It's very strange, and it's very funny to get ourselves carry out activities that do not represent our God. What do I mean? An average, no, a minority of people are waking up to the awareness that, oh, it came to a point where the white man came and told us to drop our religion and then to get the religion of the white man. And that's why we have left off our ancestors and so on and so forth. And that's why we are not developing and so on. We try to put the blame on the white man. But I want to tell Ambazonia, it is not the white man. My few stay in this social media revolution, I've come to a conclusion that an average black man hates himself. And I say it without mixing words. Because in a revolution like ours, we're not speaking one mouth, especially those who have been bought over by La République du Cameroon. They know the right. And those who say that the ancestors can help them, most of the help that we get from the ancestors is curses. That's what we do. And I want to say, from the book I have been reading as a history book, it's appointed unto man once to die, then after that, the judgment. This book tells me that all the sacrifices we sacrifice, that we are offering to our ancestors and offering to gods, we are offering to devils. And that is why devils are actually acting so much in many of us. Devils have no flesh and blood. They use the bodies of humans. Now look at an average person who is a black man. He hardly blesses. What comes out of his mouth is a curse. Somebody makes a mistake. For you to find out that it's a mistake and correct the person, no, you come first of all with a curse, which is not supposed to be so. Now, in our struggle, we have heard so many Ambazonians curse our president out. President Sako. Some have called him a Bible Ngambe man because they cannot get him, because he is protected by this very God that we say we have handed over this revolution in his hands. He's not a member of the Rosicrucian Order, not a member of the Freemason, of which some of our people are, and we know them. And these Freemason and Rosicrucian and Ikanka and all the other fraternal societies have not helped. But we have seen that many of the people that took this revolution in heart and were sincere, even willing to die, God used them to prophesy. They may not say that it is God, but I stand here as a servant of God to say that it was God who used all of them to prophesy and tell us what is going to happen, but we do not take heed. What happened that somebody stood in the parliament of La République of Cameroon and said that a time is going to come that when these 2 cubes of sugar will rise up, even the armies of France and Cameroon and Britain and all join together, they will not be able to destroy them. This is the 7th year. Has that prophecy not been fulfilled? Many Ambazonians have crossed over to La République to be used so that they can weaken and destroy the freedom fighters of the Ambazonians. They have betrayed them in different ways. Some have been poisoned, some have been killed, some have been deceived to go into prison called DDR, and some have come in the name of pastor like myself and have spoken so loud to the point that we were almost believing him. But as the days went by, that is why I believe the authentic history book that I'm reading, which says that it is not by the words of mouth, but it is by the fruit. That means what you produce. That means the action you carry out. That is when we will know you. And so we have seen a lot of people. Recently, my very good friend and fighter for the Amazonian freedom, His Eminence, let me call him that big name, Nelson Ochemba, called UN, came out to give the names of some of the top roaches of the Ambazonian people who were with the interim government and brought out their financial support. Some of them have zero, which I partly sincerely believe. Not that I'm doubting him, but I'm saying that I believe that report 98%. The 2% is just my little doubt, because human beings can be faulty at times. But all that is there is very clear. How can you be fighting for the Ambazonian people? You don't give a cent, but the one you steal, and you turn around and point fingers to us. Somebody just sent a word to me from home front and said, Pastor, what you are saying is very correct, but I'm so disturbed that we raise so much money, and then they who are at the home front, they don't have the money. They don't support them. I gave myself a very big laugh. I said some people just talk because they want to talk. Even if there is nothing to talk, they must say something, which is okay to say something. But Ambazonians, let me tell you, I was telling you that there is a looming danger on the pathway of our freedom, and this looming danger is one of the Confucianists that actually came into our revolution, and we all hailed him. I've not been wanting, and I don't like calling people's names, but when it comes to our Amba history, like I've told you, and I'll say it again, this Amba history will dig out what people said when we were just starting, what people are saying now, and what they said yesterday. I will put it online so that we can track and know exactly where we are going. Now, when our history is being reported here, the reason we are bringing it up here is for Ambazonians to sit down and judge within themselves to know who is a coup plotter and know who is a contractor with La Republic and know who is genuine for this our movement. But I want to let us know that sincerely there are people who have been deceived, who were strongly believing that these people who jumped out actually had something very different from what President Sako was doing in the interim government. And because they were talking loud and loud and loud and loud, some people felt that this guy or this guy have something to offer. And they jumped out and followed them. But when they went out there, they discovered that there was nothing better than what and how they were in the interim government with President Sako. But some of our Ambazonian brothers want some of these people who were deceived by this sweet talk, want us to crucify them. I am going to be the last person to crucify anybody that I talk with, and I discovered that he was sincere, but sincerely wrong in following the people he followed because he thought that they were doing the right thing. Now, I have told Ambazonians that I am reading a history book that is very authentic, and that history book is very relevant today. And when you read that history book, you know how to manage people. There was this great man that God had confidence in. And so God sent him to go and ordain a prophet. And ordain a king. He was a prophet. And he went into a particular house that God told him to go in. And when he went in there, he saw the sons of Jesse. These sons of Jesse were people that were actually qualified by his judgment to be the person God wanted him to ordain, but he was mistaken. Meanwhile, the person that God wanted him to ordain was somebody that even the brothers and the sisters, they were undermining him. He was a little shepherd boy, always in the bush with goats and sheep and cows. They called him David. And when this prophet Samuel had known the mistake that he made, God said, no, that there is none of them in this house that you have to ordain. So what I want you to do, I want you to make sure that you go into the house and wait, ask for this man to bring all his children. And when they asked, they called for David from the forest. And when David came, the Spirit of God said, this is the man. Ambazonians must not forget good history, history that is linked to God. And if we say we have handed over our revolution to God, let's be patient. Let's have God come in and do what he wants to do. But if we are very hesitant and trying to remote control God or our God, we will fail. So that's why we must be patient and listen as our brother tells us that, Abba, Father, you know my name. When we know that and listen to that, it will help us. Let's listen.
Your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the pillow. Abba, Father, you know my name.
Thank you very much, Reverend Brother. What you are the talk now say, God is not the make mistake, and God not the lie. Okay? God doesn't make a mistake, He doesn't lie, He doesn't come late. Now, because of our time that is almost running out, I know I started a bit very late today, and I don't want to get into the time of other programs. I want to bring up this topic that has been making so much noise in the social media. And remember, as a historian and as a child of God and as a seer, I must warn you, there is danger looming in the air with Christopher Anu. You know, I've not been calling his name, but I want to tell you that La Republique has not given up contractors. And so they are every day inventing different ways of trying to get the Ambazonian people neutralized. Our president, Dr. Sako, said there are two ways that to solve this problem. One of it is to come on the table. The other one is to go by what we are doing now, defend ourselves. And the option has been left very much with La République du Cameroon because we had long chosen to go on the table. But since La République has chosen to go the way now, we are equal to the task. And so La République has not also stopped asking contractors every day to deliver. Now, Anu came up with this identity card issue, which he said it over the air, and that's why I'm saying it also over the air, that is a big trap and a fraud. Number one, to fraud you and take money from you, and number two, to sell you out to La République du Cameroon. Because when he gets your data and your names, all this data will be sent to La République du Cameroon. Remember that they are fishing out and fending for people whose relations are back at home because they are unable to defeat the Ambazonian restoration forces. So when they cannot defeat them, they go to vent their anger by burning their houses and by killing their relations and killing people who are not armed and who are even saying that they are neutral. Especially those people who say that will not think, that will not think. Many of them have been killed because they feel that La Republic will not have anything to do with them because it is that will not think. But unfortunately, they are discovering that that will not think does not have no boundaries. Yes, La Republic does not have no boundaries. And they go out to even kill anybody who is involved and who is not. And so this existential war that we are fighting with La Republic, as a historian, I am telling you that it is not the first. And what is happening today has happened before. Is that many Ambazonians don't want to learn from history, create their own history. And the cost of creating their own history, of course, you pay the price that an average person pays. And that is why we are getting into what we are in now. And some of our people who had started with us and were very sincere and serious, they are nowhere to be found. So please, warn your brother, warn your sister in the diaspora. You don't need any identity from Africa to walk around in the diaspora. It doesn't matter which country you are. Your village or your country's ID card is not recognized at all. It's not recognized. So for somebody to come out and deceive you that they want to make you an express or international identity card is a lie. It's a big lie. Ambazonia is yet to get into its land. The land has been given free by God. The land has been recognized by the United Nations on the 1st of October 1961. After La République du Cameroon on the 1st of 1960. We know the games that are going on. So for somebody to come out and deceive you, because I thought that everybody who was in the diaspora is a wise person. But I'm discovering that there are so many people who are in the diaspora, and the diaspora is not in them. They are reasoning even less than people in the villages. How can somebody be deceiving you for months, almost to a year? Every day, his language does not bind. The language does not stand the same. He's changing like a chameleon, and you are still following that kind of a person. Then you must be more than foolish. I'm sure that that person must be wiser than you. Because if somebody is telling you lies every day, you discover that it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. He told you they were going to be hundreds of people with thousands of dollars, and we are going to finish the war today. Now it has been disproved that it was a lie. Now he has come up with another packaged lie. I want to tell you, Ambazonians, that whatever game plan La Republic is building, God had revealed it, if not several years before, is months before. This issue of ID card had come up in 2018, and our president looked into it and saw all the loopholes and came up and said, no, 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 no. This will be to dishonest. If it is to raise money, this is not the way to raise money. We should raise money in truth, because we say it is God. So God should direct us. So President Sako came out and made a lengthy audio letting the Ambazonian people know that it is not true that the ID card should be something that we should go about it. He said, no, it is not true. But many of us who are so gullible and still deceived, we want to believe that that is what is prevalent. No, we can't go by that. So let's wait and let's see, and let's get down to where, let me get down to where our president, he did not keep quiet in this issue. He came out and said it very clearly that we should not, Ambazonians, as I said to you, as a historian, I will not allow you to be deceived and go the way that a lot of people are going, because they are deceived. So I want to let you know, Ambazonians should not go into making or sending any of your documents to a can I call him the right name? Send your ID card to such a person, because if you do, definitely you will be making a big mistake. Yeah. If you do, it will be making a very big mistake. And that is not what God wants you to do. So please, don't give your ID card to anybody that is making you an ID card. That's a fraud. And if you go by fraud, you will end up in a very bad way. So making ID cards for the people of Ambazonia is not a reality. All right, I have here with me in the studios our beloved COS. COS simply means Chief of Staff for the at the presidency, and in person of Dr. Yaya, who did hear the voice of the president talk this ID card issue, which is actually a fraud. Uh, COS, Doctor, you are well studios of ABC on our program Amba TV, and I'm sure you have heard the saga and this game plan that is going on concerning ID card. Could you please, in your words, just greet the people of Ambazonia and go ahead and tell us what you think of this scam that is coming out from one of the chief co-plotters and the contractors of La République du Cameroon in the person of Anu Christopher? Over to you.
Thank you, Pastor Commando. It's always a pleasure being with you, and thanks for everything you do. Greetings to all our televiewers watching from across the world and sympathizers of our cause. So yes, thank you. That's an interesting topic, and I'm sure a lot of you must have heard or listened to the president actually explain and decipher, this fraudulent act by Christopher Anu. There's just something I want to mention. If you have access to insider information uh, because you were in service at that time, and in this situation, Chris was the Secretary of State for Communications and was privy to all these discussions and deliberations. I think once he's been sacked as the Secretary of State for Communications, he doesn't have propriety over that information. It is actually fraudulent for him to be using government, because that is internal government property that he is actually using to win the population, or again, as one of his desperate moves to suck out money from people, as they have tried many other things which have failed. So we just don't we are not in this, we don't have territory yet, and we cannot enforce law and order. Otherwise, in the real world, he should be put behind bars, or brought to justice, because he's just taking advantage of the fact that he had access to some information and using that for his own private money laundering, as I can call it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for that recap. Um, he was in the interim government, but today he's still using the name interim government as a chief of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. What will you tell Ambazonians to note and to be very careful for this impersonation of calling interim government? Meanwhile, all the attributes of being the person in charge of interim government has been stripped of him.
That's right. That's exactly the challenge we have. Can you hear me, Pastor
Of course,
Commando?
go
Can you
ahead.
hear me? All right. That's the challenge we have, because any Tom, Dick, and Harry can call himself anything, and we've heard that, seen that over the 6 years of this struggle. But the question every reasonable person with common sense should be asking is, what justify the name that he gives himself? I can call myself the head of the interim government. You can call yourself. 10 million people can do that. But the question is, people should stop and ask themselves, what is, first of all, the IG, or the interim government? We're talking about a government. Go and Google what a government means. A government is not a one-man show. A government is not a Njangi group. A government is not a group of haters. A government is a structure, is a broad structure that has identified the various areas of governance to rule the people, and has those structures and people, different people, positioned in those places to make sure that they pursue the vision of that leadership. People should be asking themselves the question, what can he show for as the interim government? But the difficulty is that we'll always have people who don't have this information, who don't have, the capability of actually putting down the facts and saying, oh, this is fake and this is real. So in terms of this interim government, and this is a revolutionary government, mind you, because if we had gained territory, we should have our forces in uniform, parading our streets very proudly. But unfortunately, we are still under occupation, and therefore we have our future, army, which are the restoration forces, Amazonia Restoration Forces. This interim government, which has only one president, Dr. Samuel Ikomesako, has to an extent, or has at least the majority of our controls, the majority of the forces on the ground that are making sure that they are doing their best to make sure that the occupier actually quits our territory. What can Chris Anu show for? Does he have any army? If he does, let him tell us who. Does he have any generals who report to him? And what do they do? The Ambazonian Restoration Forces, they resist. I repeat, they resist, they defend their territory as occupied or attacked by the enemy forces of La République du Cameroon. And we see the pictures. I haven't seen any forces, commanded or directed by Chris Anu, who are actually defending motherland. I've never seen that. If anything, what Chris Anu does is cohort and his gang of I don't know what bandits or uh, uh, frustrated people. In fact, what they do is they harm this revolution. They go and form insider militias and that go against the Ambazonia Restoration Forces and giving us a bad name, by doing all sort of terrible things, including, we know them. So people, I think the cards are easy to tell. We don't need any Gambe here. Yeah, let him. He says he's a president. Let him show us his cabinet. How many members of cabinet does he have? How many are still working? How many have resigned? We've seen lots of resignation letters floating left, right, center. That is a sign of the incapability of the man to rule. He did a great job as a communications minister because he had the capacity. He had the potentials in that capacity, but he became too greedy, like Lucifer, and wanted to become God, and that's where he's landed himself. He has tried one attempt to another, and this ID scam is yet another attempt to suck money from Amazonians. Mind you, let us not forget that this is a man connection with another. Well, I call them his gang. It's like store money from the Amazonian people because they use the name. In fact, they impersonate this interim government. It's a crime. But again, we are in no right now to bring people to justice. We can only plead for consents to be put in place. The president has explained so well what this means. What is the ID card for? The ID card for the diaspora. What do we need it for? And then talking about home front, that puts our people at risk. And that's why this project was dropped by the interim government, as the president, Dr. Sako, very well explained. So please, it is not time. Amazonians are wise. We are sensible people. Ask questions. If you're a people who don't ask questions, you always remain in the pit. You should be encouraged to ask questions. Ask yourself those simple, practical questions. This man says he's the president of the interim government. Okay, let's give him the benefit of doubt. What are his achievements so far? So please name 3 achievements that Chris Anu has had since he came. Since he claims he is comrade. I don't know whether his name is comrade president, ID card of whatever government. Sorry, help me. Do you know 3 of his achievements? I like to be objective.
Yeah. COS, thank you very much for that uh, elaboration of what is going on, because you are an insider and right inside the house, and so you understand the do's and don'ts more than some of us historians who just pick up here and there. Now, we actually know that he has told us he is no more president, he's a comrade in arms, and now he's more an anchor man. And because La Republic has told him exactly what to do. But let's leave that aside. Let's come back to our revolution. A lot of people, we are here to tell the people the truth. And many people don't like to hear the truth. But a lot of people are thinking that when a thing of this nature happens, like what this fellow is propagating and trying to tell people to buy ID cards, that we should keep quiet. Because if we don't keep quiet, we are just showing to the world that we are disorganized, we are not united, we are fighting among ourselves, and blah, 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 blah. Is it right for us to correct and tell the Ambazonian people the right thing to do from these hoodlocks who are parading themselves to be Ambazonians, but they are actually working for the Republic?
Of course, it's a basic human right, the right to information. No one should ever be denied that right. Whether they use the information wisely is then their choice. But as leaders, it is our position to educate, to sensitize, to raise awareness, and protect people from such scammers so that their money is not duped as they have done to the interim government. And thankfully, they are not going free because, then we know what's happening. um so people should always we live most of us in the diaspora, we live in a world that is fed on news, so once he brings up another ticket, he probably has a few that he's going to be bringing out every now and then because he has promised people that have contracted him to do what he's doing to bring results. So he's going to try card A, it wouldn't work. Card number two, it wouldn't work. It will fail. It fails, not that it will. A lot of them have. He started with by trying to create scandals about the president without any proof.
Evidence.
Till now, we're still waiting for his evidence. Is nowhere to be found. And then he goes, they try to buy over our fighters, manipulate them, fight them, pitch them against each other, and even kill some of our fighters. We know these things. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. So I'm not sure why we would not do everything to protect our vulnerable people from such people. The difficulty here is that Chris had done a great job initially as the Secretary of State and had won the hearts of many, including myself. Then, you know, so people believe in him blindly, and so whatever he says, people have the tendency to just say, "Oh, this is Chris," but they have to question the man's intention. It is the same name, but with a different intention now. So, and that intention is destructive to Ambazonia. So you must desist from him. You don't have a lifelong agreement to follow somebody who has changed the course which started on a good footing. Yeah. So that's that much I can
Thank you
say.
very
Just bear
much.
with me for a second because I'm actually standing. Let me get myself comfortable.
Well, our COS has, well, thank you very much, COS. We are looking forward to having you. You just disappeared on the screen. Well, I want to let Ambazonians know that uh, our Amba history is out. This history is fake, not fake, but whether this history is good or bad, because we have good history and we have bad history. I was about to ask the chief of staff a very important question to further clarify the Ambazonians concerning the stance of our history. But I'm believing that if she happens to come back into the studios, we will ask that question. But Ambazonians, I'm sure you have heard right from the horse's mouth that we are here to give you the right to rightful information, because there are so many media outside there that tell a lot of stories without the follow-up evidence. Theirs is to make a lot of lies, and at the end of the day, a lie remains a lie because it will not bring forth the truth that is needed or the necessary results that are needed and waiting for. So, Ambazonians, I want you to understand that when we come on our Amba TV, we are barely telling you the story that had happened and that is happening, and the one that will happen, we leave it ahead. But we know and think of the past, the present, and then the future, we leave it in the hands of God, who is ordering us. And the CS just mentioned to us here that Chris had actually, in the days that he was working with and in the interim government, he knew a number of things that the interim government wanted to do, but could not actually do it. And he now took upon himself to try to do a little bit of what we are now seeing, bringing out things that were supposed to be. Let's listen to this a bit. Okay, he is here. Sorry, I wanted us to listen to a voice note, but our COS is back in the house. Something happened. Our COS is back in the house. Let's cross over to our COS. There was a question I wanted to ask you to clarify the Ambazonians. When we talk of
Okay.
Ambazonian history, now there is the history. History is actually something that is past, and then we are reverting to it to let people know how it was and how it went. Now, is it important and necessary to let the Ambazonians know how somebody started, where he is now, and then the future will leave it in the hands of God? Or we should never bring out something that somebody has said before. I'm saying this in line with the mistake I made on social media by putting up a video that Agbobala was talking, and it went off me to make a comment that this is a historical fact that he was talking like this before, but today, hear where and what he is talking to clear the Ambazonians that is not the person that starts the race, but the people that run the race to the end. And I have been misunderstood, and many names have been given to me, whether I have taken something from La Republic and I'm now part of La Republic. I have sung it over and over and over again that I made a mistake by not making a comment as a historian that our history is to bring us started very strongly. Look at where they are now and warn you to watch out so that tomorrow it should not be like them, and it became the talk of the day in the social media. Can you just tell the Ambazonians that history should be told, if it can be told, with the past, which is bad, which is good, and then with the present, which is evil? Did you understand me? I'm sure you did.
Uh, sorry. Yeah, I think I get it because I kind of I know the context in which look, the truth is that the stakes are high, and Amazonians are expectant, and like human nature, people get weary, but we pray that we do not get weary. That the good Lord is going to re-energize us each time we think that we're getting tired, and therefore, the tolerance span is quite thin, and rightfully so, because we've been hurt in the past, because we've had great names that we knew were diehards for this struggle, like Chris, for example. And today, these are the same people hurting the struggle. So, coming from that perspective, I understand that people can react. What to caution people is to learn to control their emotions, not to overreact. There are times when if you're not sure about something, it's better to ask and get clarification, especially on the digital space. A lot of things can happen. You can actually be sleeping and lying with your phone under your pillow, which is not a good habit, and you press something and forward something that you didn't even mean to. This happened to me about 2 weeks ago. In fact, when someone asked, "Can I explain why I shared something?" I thankfully I was online, and I saw that this was a reply to my message. And I went back to that message. To be honest, I couldn't say anything about that message, where I got it from, but I forwarded it. So it is possible that I could have pressed something, intended to press forward another thing, and I forwarded that. But the reaction is normal. But what we are pleading with our people is, in as much as we've been hurt, I think there's a certain process that you can follow to verify things. You can ask others who are close to this person, or you can ask the person directly. Why did you do this? Like I was asked, and I explained myself that I don't even know the video. Then I opened the video and I realized that it's even something I cannot watch because of the quality that was in there. So we need to know ourselves. Yes, people do change, and also be on the guard. Yes, because people do change. But when something happens, please, we are coming from a place where somebody is guilty. Sorry, what's the common law? What does it say? You're found guilty only when um, I've forgotten the quote. Anyway, in contrast to the French system where being accused, you're already a criminal until otherwise. Anyway, the long and short is when these things happen, please let us ask and find out and wait for explanations and not run to call ourselves names. Because again, we are fighting a bigger enemy out there, even though we have internal enemies. But over time, I think we should slowly know ourselves. But having said that, people still change, so it is okay to be on the guard. And when you ask questions, give the person the chance to explain themselves. And when they do that, you may realize that, oh, you were just a step too fast. And I must say also, from a historical point of view, history cannot choose what to talk about. Today, we read in our history, the men of influence or men and women of influence in our history, like ST Muna.
Sorry, COS. There's somebody on
Yes.
the line. There's somebody on the line. Can we just take this person on the line before you continue? He's calling from.
Oh,
Yeah, tell us where you're.
Yes, I'm calling from Bamenda.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Listen, we are listening to you. Yeah, go ahead.
we can hear you.
Okay, good evening. Please, I want to beg you people. I'm very sorry for what is happening. We have already won the hearts of the Ambazonians, but you people there in the diaspora are really, really confusing, disturbing the fight that we. So you are quarreling among yourselves. We are supposed to be one so that we fight this thing. But you are already quarreling among yourselves. How can we carry on this fight like that? When we here back home, we are united to fight the Ambazonians, but you there are already disagreeing among yourselves. When will you people be united so that we fight this fight? Thank you very much.
Excuse me, sir. So you want us to tell the Amazonian people that they should go and give their ID card, they should get ID cards in the diaspora? We shouldn't talk about that. That is false. So that we can be united. Is that what you mean? We are talking about somebody who is telling people to come and get ID cards in the diaspora. And then you're telling us not tell people that that's a fraud, that's a lie, so that we can remain united by saying that.
I understand that, sir. I understand that. My problem is that you people should find a way to be united.
How do we find a way? Tell us the way.
I am not.
No, tell us how we can find a way to be united. Because if you are telling us to find a way to be united, yeah, tell us the way that we can be united. We can find a way to be united.
When this fight started, we hold people at a very great extent that this way the people who have to carry it. You are only in disagreement.
Can you tell us how we agreement? That's what we are asking.
About this. What is that? You people should
can you tell us how we
united fight this way as a united front.
No.
Stop. Chris has done this. Dr. Chu has done this. You people should find a way so that we can fight these fathers. That is what we are talking about.
Can you show us the way? Because we have tried, we can't get the way. Can you tell us how we can get through Ayaba and Chris Ano so that we can work together? Come on here. You people just sit down and talk things that you don't know. Can we come together? We come together and let you Ayaba take us to Yawande with Chris Ano? Is that what you want? No, sir. All right. While CS is coming, I want us to listen. I was about to play up this for us to listen when our friend called and is telling us to come together in the diaspora. And we want some of them to help us how we can come together. We're not getting it. So, okay, COS, go ahead. You heard what he's saying? We should come
I
together.
heard part of it.
So, how do we
Like,
come together?
please, just summarize what he said because I heard just part.
I got another caller on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I am calling from Bamenda.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I'm calling from Bamenda.
We can hear you.
We
Go
can
ahead.
hear you.
Yeah, I want to react in relation to what mother who are just come from Bamenda is.
Yes.
I want to say that what you people are talking is correct. We cannot be united without unity of purpose.
Exactly.
Yes, unity is good, but we are aware of the so many distractors that have delayed us up to this moment.
Correct.
So, if somebody does not have purpose, with our purpose is leading to Buya,
Right.
then the person is out of place. So, there is no revolution in which people have been united. One of the characteristics of every revolution is us. So let's push the distractors away and go ahead. Anybody who wants to be on the
Pastor Commander, I think we lost him. Not sure if I'm still connected. Hello.
SOS, go ahead. The microphone is yours.
Okay. Yeah, it went silent. Good. I think I can just pick up bits and pieces. It's the same old story.
SOS, can you
Why
hear
don't you
me?
people
I say you should go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
speaking. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Pastor Commando, I don't know if I am heard.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
hearing
I
you now.
just got bits and pieces. It's the usual rhetoric. You people should be united. The reason we are not moving forward is because you are not united and all of that. Yeah, that sounds all good. But the question is, I think the second caller explained it all. You know, we uniting on what? Let's just give this. There was a flyer that used to go around with people heading towards Boya, and that's Dr. Sako and his team, and others heading towards Yaoundé and God knows who, you know. So these are opposite directions. So how do you unite? So when people say these things, I mean, to me, it's just hypocritical. If Of course we have been through phases of convincing people, talking to ourselves to make sure that we are on the same track, but we cannot force people to follow the course. If some people have stepped down their guard, or they've been given envelopes or whatever, or they are tired and they are looking at the easiest exit card, which is either going back to Yaoundé in the name of one Cameroon, and for some who are fooling themselves that they will have federation. The federation never happened in the first place. I'm not sure why they believe that is going to happen this time around. So we cannot unite when we have different goals. That doesn't mean that we hate. I don't hate Chris Anu as a person. I completely disagree with all that he's doing. But what am I uniting with him for? I don't know where he stands. He goes about plotting the killing of our young men and women. I am not for that. I don't support that. So why should I unite with him? So please let's stop this hypocritical talk, because by this time we know those who are moving towards Boya, and we know those who are not sure where they are standing, whether they are dancing towards Yaoundé or towards San Melima, you know. And so we cannot stop and waste our time trying to pull these people to join the cause. These are people who started with us. So let me just even tell that caller who is calling, in his own family, I want to challenge him. Is he on good terms with everybody? Is every family member on good terms with every family member? The answer is no, because I know that, because I also have a family. Even in the church where God is supposed to exist, you have different camps. You have people fighting against others, people gossiping against others, even people having organizing mafias and killing others in church. So what are we talking
Yeah,
about? We have different views,
yeah,
different goals, and so everybody should pursue what they are pursuing. We are going to Boya,
exactly.
and we have invited everybody who is on that journey. In fact, if this young man listened to the president in his New Year's speech, the president actually said something that is dramatic. I mean, for the first time in a long time. And I think naysayers, they listen to that and they just don't pick it, because that's something very positive he said. He said, if you, I don't care what color, what name you carry, but if you're fighting for the liberation of Amazonia, if you're going, which means if you are heading towards Boya, we will fund you. Does that make sense to some of you? That is to say,
It
even
doesn't, because
people
some
who
of them are
say,
very myopic in their thoughts,
exactly. So
Yeah.
what kind of unity are you talking about? If you are in your family, let's say you have a member who believes in, I don't know what, some crazy practices, or some occultic practice, or just some strange stuff that you don't believe in. Shall you go saying, "Oh, this is my uncle, and therefore I support everything he does because he's my uncle"? No, you differ on some things that are actually critical issues that you cannot just say, "Yes, I support because he's my uncle." So I don't even know what example to use, but I think by now people know what is right from what is wrong, and those who want to join this interim government or collaborate with this interim government, they've been given the long spoon, and a very, very sorry, they've been giving a hand, a stretch of hand by the president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, COS. Our time is up, and we need to get out and give time to other people. Uh, um,
It's actually my health
I'm
program
getting a
time.
lot. Oh, it's a health program time?
Yeah, 7 to 8 normally.
Oh, okay. So are
Even
you
though I'm
coming
not
up?
prepared for it today. Unfortunately, but I just wish to apologize to my fans and viewers for this long stop. Life, is what it is. I have a very tough schedule. It's very difficult to have Mondays free. Today, actually, I was free. It just
We got
occurred to
another
me,
caller. Can
and
we
that
take
was
this
me.
caller?
Sure.
Okay. Hello, sir. You are live on ABC Amba TV. Can you go ahead and tell us your opinion on what you are saying? Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm calling from Ground Zero. Yeah, we are talking about, we did talk about this issue of Chris and we don't come up with something about identification. People they talk about unity, they talk about unity. Unity, how the unity want to come if somebody go to continue for the one for two people. When you come up with idea for ID cards, it just see why use a form now for take them. Look at only possibility means how you go take money from people. It based on
Yeah.
what? So you identify people. You want to come up with ID card. It based now on what? Talk something will be very critical now. But you know get for happen. Somebody go to call talk about unity. I don't understand at all. Because the idea of coming up with ID cards, if you look at a manner of extracting people money, ID
Mhm.
card now with Chris and we talk about it based now on what? When somebody go to call, when they talk about the point of Chris and we come up with things that we don't even get any link for how we go for Boya. They talk about ID card. Somebody talk about unity. He get for call Chris Anu. They advise Chris Anu to take the right track. You know, the call for the talk about unity.
Okay.
Make it call Chris Anu. Call for Chris Anu. Say what you are coming up with is a fake idea. It's a means of extracting people money.
Yes.
Let's talk about say, unity.
All right. Okay.
And we don't commit a lot of atrocity inside this crisis where it don't come now for the level where people don't get stable, where people don't know now what to go and what to do. It come up to another strategy now for can misunderstanding, can try to dupe people them. Then people go to call for radio now they talk about unity. So more focus, more concentrate for what they talk. Make it call Chris Anu. Make it call Chris Anu.
Correct.
For Chris Anu, find for unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you so much, caller. Pastor Commando,
I
have you just talked
yes,
something
ma'am. Go ahead.
for Pigeon? Yeah, I really want to thank this caller because nail him, And I want just tell people that President, I beg, I hope say we'll get that audio where President make and where they explain this fraud. We really need for share and far and wide because these people then they so when you go as they talk say Anyongo used to work like what we grow up hearing. When you go chop on this thing that you promise say you go bring something. If you not bring that in, they go continue for the worry you so you go start the scream for inside house for night or to some people that they get to the point that they jump out of house, whatever. So this is like the situation where Chris they inside. They put them under pressure for deliver. So when they try this one, work. They try the next one, work. They try the next one, work. Until their cards they go don't completely be used up. So many people they no fall for this. That way he quit. That way they saki when he start for create the problems they create and for government. He say, oh, he go do this. President Sako don't do this and that. They say bring evidence till today. We'll never see him. He say he go bring firepower for ground, and he go stop this, stop can. The same thing everybody accused Dr. Sako say no he do. We still see the can and all of that is whatever things that everybody. We never see the firepower way bring up on the ground. Now the simple question that me Oma ask him, wait till Chris don't do who say fighters in day, and what have they done to shorten this war or bring we closer to Boya? If anything, that they lengthen the war, lengthen the suffering, and taking us a direction Yahweh, and that's not where we're going. So there's no unity there. Yeah.
Thank you very much, COS. The person who called immediately after that, our friend from Bamenda, that man from Bamenda, you see the first name he mentioned is Ayabacho and Chris Ano. That immediately threw some vibes for me to think otherwise, because when you are talking of unity and you first mention Ayabacho and you mention Chris Ano, then there's something wrong with you somewhere. It is not that he's ignorant. He's not ignorant.
No, no, of
I
course
would
not.
say that many of them know the game, even though they are at home from they know the game. I don't want to castigate him, but I want to
No, he
elaborate
can
on
counsel
what
them.
this.
He can call them. I think the last caller
Yes,
did a very good
yes,
job. Yeah, maybe call them,
yeah, he did a
talk
very
to them,
good
to make
job.
them
Very, I
join
mean, yes,
the winning team because the interim government is the certain and steady boat. There's no doubt.
yes,
We don't prove ourselves over the
yes,
years. So let them join and let's move. Yeah.
yeah. So the thing is that COS, a number of people like the when I told him that what is the articles of us joining together, let him tell us the way to work with Ayaba and to work with Chris Anu. He started telling stories. And then he wondered when they come out and tell lies to our people to scam them, we should keep quiet. So when we talk, I don't know how many times they have called Ayaba, they have called Chris Anu to tell them that they should join the IG so that they can talk with one more. They only come to call us here
Pastor
to try
Commando,
to
not even go
portray and
far.
to intimidate us.
Give an example. So that
Yes.
unity, it is so now everybody get a responsibility for forge for unity. No be the work for this
Mhm.
interim government for the be distracted because when people then start talk about that unity, although unity is a good thing, what they actually mean is we want to distract you people, get you people off the rails, off the real job, so that we now they run after the shadow while we are there, making fun of you guys. That's what it is. This government, the interim government, is focused. They know what they're heading towards. We have a duty at hand, and that is our main focus. Any recalcitrant people, the way they don't get so many years of education, of negotiation, of pleading, please let's join hands and this and that. At some point, we cannot waste our time, on those because they have declared their line. I just want to ask a question for this person where you talk about unity. When these clowns, they be say that they go Canada, say that they go negotiate. I don't know what they were negotiating. If they really thought that unity was important, how were they comfortable going to a place to negotiate the future of Amazonia without the interim government, which is the force to reckon with, because they have the fighters on the ground? It's as simple as that. It is not about a group of doctors or professors who call themselves what. The question is, you can do all your conferences and speak as eloquently as you want. But the question I say, now who get fighters on the ground? Do you have fighters on the ground? So when these people they be go for Canada, me this call away, they ask for unity. Call them, ask them, say them one goes so they be call Dr. Sako, say, hey, pa, and not say, yeah, we don't fight all this while, we'll get differences. But now we don't reach for time where one negotiate and this and that or whatever they thought they were doing. I think we need you on board so that we should not talk on behalf of the cross section of Amazonia, because trust me, 90% of Amazonians support this interim government. Why didn't they do that? Why when I know they ask them questions, say, what's our unity be there? Or when I feel say unity na Dr. Sakoye number 3 name or what? Yerima, they be there with funny color shoes and this and that. Where were they? Did they think about pulling even the main force? Not that the interim government wasn't contacted, of course we were. But I didn't want to talk to those the way that they keep on disturbing people their ears about unity. When they were going, they thought, oh, see that monkey, then they don't do the work, we go reap the fruits, right? Yeah, they got a big slap in their face, Waterloo, big time. So when I begin to tell those people about unity, when I not distract with the fight, with the defend motherland, with the defend with territory on the ground. And that is where the job is. And then the diplomacy is going, is forging on in, as a response to what's happening on the ground. Thank you. Pastor K, we don't lose you. I need to hear your voice again now. Pastor Commando. Anyway, I just want to tell my health fans and say, I really be sorry, but not just my program is so tight. Uh, but we'll make some when things will just settle a little bit. I'll come back, even if it's once a month, because it's a very very important program. But if anybody has questions, please you can send them to Pastor Commando's phone. He always has a number. Send your questions so that when I have about 4 or 5 and I can steal some 30 minutes like today, I can hop on his program or do the health program itself in full and just talk about some topics of interest. Yeah. Pastor Commando, I'm really not sure if I'm on. Hello. Hello. Okay. I may have to log out because I think you're frozen or I'm frozen, one of them. So, Pastor Commando, I'm back. It looks like Pastor Commando is frozen. Sorry, bear with me with this suboptimal background. I'm actually in my on-call room. Sorry, I have to pull this. Yeah. So, Pastor Commando asked a question about, as a historian, what sort of things we need to touch on, whether we can talk about even people who have uh, a controversial, I don't want to say all negative, controversial or negative trajectory. Um, my answer to that is yes. History is history. History is not selective. History is simply reporting things as they were. Um, I mean, today we learn a lot of our history, what we were never really taught. But thankfully, this struggle has taught us a lot. Most of what was deliberately actually hidden from us, because they knew that if we knew the whole foundation, people would be very upset, and the uprising would have been more fierce a long time ago. So yeah, to the question whether we can share information about people who are hurting this struggle, I think the answer is yes. It all depends on the context. If I'm sharing something to bring out a point or to educate people on a certain aspect, I don't see a problem with that. I think, yeah, sometimes we might forget to do that, to just drop a line or two or a footnote to explain why we're doing that. And that may send some waves, shock waves to people who are already heavily burdened. So I also understand, the sensitivities of many. But please, let's give a chance for explanations. Yeah, today we read in our history, we have S and Tita, we have people who did not always positively affect the struggle. They were seen as traitors at some point, but the history has not erased their names. We still see them. We see them on picture because that is what happened. So even if we don't like Bala, tomorrow his name is going to be in the history of our struggle, because at the early days he was the at the head or the realm of the consortium. So please let us just in the difficult times. I know the waiting uh, might make some people a bit oversensitive. Um, but we're also pleading that those who are communicating should be very clear with their communication so that there's no ambiguity in the messages shared or sent. So, Pastor Commander, we have you back.
Thank you very much. I've just come back. Everything went blank on
Did-
my side here, and thank God
It's okay.
you anchored in there. That was wonderful. That was wonderful.
All right. Did
Yeah.
you did you just get my answer to the first question you asked before the
Yes,
callers
yes, yes.
started
I've
calling?
got the tail end. I've got the tail end because I was actually out, completely out of the studios.
Yeah. Let,
Yeah,
let me
I
just
was dropped out.
summarize.
Yeah.
So what I was
Yeah.
saying is, as a historian, or history cannot be selective. History just
Yeah.
tells the story as it was. you
Yeah.
know so we cannot choose and say we're only going to talk about
The good part of the
the
history.
positives and leave the negatives.
Okay.
Of course,
Okay.
in our context, we are still actually playing history is still playing out because we are still in the process, and so there's a
Right.
lot of sensitivities when we hear certain names. Therefore,
Mm-hmm.
it is important to always have a footnote or an
Mm-hmm.
explanation to explain why we're sharing certain information so people don't get the wrong
Right.
message. But
Yeah.
even in the absence of that, we're also cautioning ourselves that a bit of self control is also important. Ask the right
Mm-hmm.
questions, but don't go straight away to accuse or castigate
Accuse.
people who
Exactly.
sacrifice and spend, almost, well, they might not know, but I know how much you sacrifice for this struggle. If,
Yes.
having said that, people have done this and changed the carpets, changed the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sides.
I don't. Yeah.
So it's caution
Yeah.
on both
COS, I
sides.
understand. I don't blame
Communicate
the
clearly.
person. Yeah, I don't blame the person very well. He actually
Yeah,
quoted that that's how Chris Anu was, and so he was equating me because Chris Anu was a pastor, and I say I'm a pastor. So in
I
such
see.
situations, people should be very much afraid, which I don't disagree. But the point
Okay.
is, when you come out like that and you discover something, like I did find out the person who actually made that voice note, and I sent a word to him, very explicit, and I talked to him at the back of the doors, and I'm sure that he got my message. Um, a phone call is coming in, but I don't know how we can get it because, hello, hello. Okay, it's not connecting. He's still calling from La Republic. I mean, from Ambazonia using La Republic number. Unfortunately, we cannot get you. Please, if you can type your message on the comments below, we'll be able to read out your message because your epileptic network in that country is not connecting. I'm not insulting you, but the network, because the network is epileptic. So write your message because it will not be epileptic and we'll pick it up here. Or you send us a voice mail. Yeah, COS, thank you very much. I was just saying that what you are saying is really on point. The English saying or the adage says that when you are bitten by a snake, when you see a millipede, you jump higher than your height. Yeah, because one must be very careful, especially in this struggle. The betrayals we have had are coming from people that we least expected. And so I don't very much blame that my brother in Friends of Mali, who came
Oh,
out verbatim and
okay.
said what he said, and then the other things that have been said. Now, I am saying that I am very, very repentant. I'm very ready to apologize when I know that I did wrong, because I actually did wrong by posting that old picture. I mean, old video of Bala. I knew it was old, but I had it in my historical sense that look at what he was, look at where he is. That was my purpose. I would have explained this, but I didn't explain it. And so many other things that one can do in this fight. So again, I'm telling the Ambazonian people, it was my fault. You had the right to blame me, but right now you should forgive me and know that I have not crossed over. I have not taken anything.
You
Because
have
some
not
other
taken
person
an
commented
envelope.
and said, "Oh, we should check this Pastor Commando. We should check him." No, I'm very okay. Please go ahead and check me. My hands are clean.
It's
Okay,
okay.
COS,
It's
over
okay.
to you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for your humility, and
Mm,
this is great. This is Ambazonia. These are the qualities that we have. A humble man is a man of wisdom. So, and we've also hopefully passed on the message to our people that let's be cautious. Let's keep an eye, our eyes wide open, but let's not get too over sensitive to the point that reason or due process is completely lost. Yeah. Always talk to a third
right, right.
party. If you don't know the person, just call someone at the background and say, I'm concerned about this. Can you reach out to him? Because
Yeah,
sometimes some comments can really spread some negative energy. And that's the
yeah,
last thing that we need in this struggle right now. We need all the positivity that it takes to just keep going on. Because there's a tendency of fatigue, there's a tendency of people getting tired. So some may just look for the least excuse
yeah,
to exit, and we don't want that. So, yeah, we're
yeah.
together. We
COS.
correct ourselves. So we want the
Yeah,
comments. We want those corrective comments and questions, but let them not be castigating. Let them be in a bid to clarify and not make
yeah,
judgments beforehand. Yeah.
yeah. COS. I'm thinking that we should let the Ambazonians know that if we took this method, that somebody says something that you don't understand, you try to find out, and if you find out and the person doesn't give a good reason and is not willing to, if he said it in the public and is not willing to come to the public and publicly apologize that it was a mistake, then that person should be suspected. If we did this, this revolution and this fight would have been standing a better ground now, because a lot of people have been hurt just because they made a mistake and somebody went out there, castigated the person, and immediately took the person and sent him or her across to be either a contractor or an enabler or somebody for the Republic, of which sincerely it was not the case. So if we can be finding out in the social media who is saying what, and we don't go out to castigate, it will help us a lot. Now, I don't know whether you also heard part of what I said, that a lot of people are pointing hands to the white man. Oh, the white man is causing us division. Oh, the white man is doing this. Oh, Africa is very rich, but they are poor because white man has done this. I said it is not true. The trouble is coming from us, we the black people, that if you do something that is not correct, and instead of me to come out and call you and we try to talk, I spread it out. And that is the fight that we have all the time. So I think that we should, in Ambazonia, be learning and teaching other people how to be frank and how to be sincere and how to tolerate one another, so that we can make it happen at the end of the day. Meanwhile, we must watch out for the wolves that are inside us, who are wearing sheep clothing, talking a type of language. We say, by their fruit we shall know them. Many people had noted a lot of things in time past, but they were like confused. But today, we should be very wise to call and find out. If you call me to
And
find
Pastor
out,
Commando.
yes,
Yeah,
go
sorry.
ahead.
I just want to add that this is also, whilst we're going through a revolution as a collective, we are also, refining ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Relearning, unlearning, the old and bad practices that we have known all our lives. It is not easy. We are talking about, departing from La Republique, but still nurturing a lot of La Republiqueness in us. So it is correct for us to keep an eye. We are all the vanguards of this revolution, but just to do it the right way. Meaning, if you have a suspicion, talk to the person directly is always the number one way. If not, talk to a third party who knows that person. If not, find out about that person's LGA or county and ask the chairperson, how involved is this person? How committed is
Mm-hmm,
this person? I have some concerns here and there. Have you noticed anything like this? And if you're getting that from his inner core and they're confirming your doubts, your concerns, then you may have, alibi, enough alibi to say, okay, this guy should be on the list of suspects. But you just
mm-hmm,
don't get up with somebody making one mistake, if we may call it, and then you give them a name, because we have all made mistakes. And by saying this, we're not trying to discourage people from asking those questions. Please, Ambazonia shouldn't be a country ruled by oppression or suppression of ideas or speech. Indeed, we are the opposite, and that's what we're fighting for. We don't want to breed a nation of bullies or a
mm-hmm.
nation whereby people cannot ask the right questions. So let this not go
Right,
down wrong. We're just saying
right.
that when you ask the questions, uh, follow due process, meaning give time for clarifications to be given, either from the accused, or get more evidence before you say anything that sounds like a judgment,
Exactly,
so that we don't
exactly.
name people names that don't belong to them. Yeah.
That is true. That
So
is true.
on a different note, Pastor Commander, I was just pleading if you could share your number. Uh, I know people already have your number for questions. If there are any health questions that people have, please always send them to Pastor Commando. When we have a reasonable number of them, I can always jump up on the show or steal some 30 minutes and answer them. And until such a time when my program actually permits me to hold the health and wealth program. I really feel bad. I get a lot of feedback from our viewers who miss the program, and of course, it's important. Our health is important. We all want to make it to Boya. So it is important that we take good care of ourselves, not only
Seriously, we really
physically,
want that program.
mentally.
We really want
I'll
that
try.
program. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
depends on my
some of
work.
the
You
days,
know.
some of the days I'll give off my program when you are not on duty. I will just force that one onto it.
Okay, that'll be
All
great.
right.
Yeah, if
Yes,
I'm
yes.
free, because it's all about
Mm-hmm.
my program. If I'm working,
Yeah,
I'm hardly
please.
free at this time. Yeah.
Yeah, please just chip into me when you are free, and then we'll go on that. Well, our time is up, and I need to run for another program right now. Thank you so much, COS, for coming to crown our Amba history today after my short break.
Thank you.
And I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that as the week has begun, we will be together. God bless and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much.
I mean, wonderful week.
Great.
Sorry, wonderful week. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Ambassador.
dey hear your voice.